The material presented is intended to augment one's enjoyment of J.K. Rowling's book Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, not act as a substitute. If you have not purchased a copy of the Half-Blood Prince, please discontinue your patronage of this production until you do. Deadly Abridgment presents Harry Potter and the Halfassed Parody, Chapter 4, Slugustus Gloop. Harry felt uneasy, but he held on to Dumbledore as a firm squeezing sensation surrounded him, and he was transported to a place he'd never been before. To clarify, that was a description of the apparating process, not slash fiction. They landed in a different affluent suburb of Britain.
"There we are,"
said Dumbledore.
"Wand at the ready, Harry."
"But, sir, I thought underage wizards couldn't do magic outside of term."
"Yes, the Ministry can detect that sort of thing, but I'll speak on your behalf."
"Then why don't they just use those methods of detection to find dark wizards?"
"An excellent question, my boy. It's actually a fascinating explanation that involves magical fields, midget bears, and ninja marionette puppets. You see..."
But he was cut off by a strange feeling of dread. They had reached the house they were searching for. The darkness within the cracked front door spoke of potential doom.
"Wands out. Be cool."
Dumbledore and Harry entered the house to find the sitting room in ruin. Blood spattered the walls, chairs were overturned, vases smashed, drinks left on the coffee table without coasters beneath them.
"By my beard,"
Dumbledore mused.
"You mean Professor McGonagall?"
"What?"
"Oh, nothing."
Professor Dumbledore scrutinized the room. A smile quirked the side of his mouth. He walked quite calmly to an overstuffed chair on its side and jabbed the tip of his wand into the fabric.
"Oh!"
said a face appearing in the chair's surface as if it were an extra from Disney's Beauty and the Beast.
"I say, Albus, just because that's the arm of the chair doesn't mean that it's necessarily my arm. Mind where you poke that, would you?"
"I will be more cautious in future, my friend."
"I hope you'll pardon me while I change,"
spoke the unsettlingly vocal armchair. With a swish of wizardly magic, the armchair disappeared, and to Harry's surprise, a very fat and well-dressed talking walrus appeared in its place. This was somehow less unsettling than an anthropomorphized chair.
"Harry, I'd like you to meet my old friend Slugford Butterchubs,"
Dumbledore said before conjuring a live fish and tossing it to the well-read sea mammal. The two elder wizards enchanted a couple of brooms to grow arms and clean the room up again.
"Slugwell, I came here to offer you a position back at Hogwarts,"
Dumbledore said when the room was back in order.
"Now, Albus, you know that if I take a position at your school, it might imply that I have something against the murder and subjugation of muggles and mixed bloods. Who wants that?"
"I accept your decision. If you'll pardon me, I need to make myself scarce for unsuspicious reasons for about 10 minutes. I hope that a well-known social climber and a young man touched by fame and history will be able to find something to talk about."
They sat there in uncomfortable silence a moment. Slugchug conjured a fire and warmed his tail as he stared at Harry's scar.
"Might I assume that you're in Gryffindor House?"
Blubber Slug eventually mused.
"Yeah."
"It tends to go in families. Your mother was quite talented. Should have been in my house."
"Which one is that?"
"Slytherin?"
Harry looked at him in shock.
"Oh, now don't hold my sympathies to genocidal terrorists against me. Usually families end up in the same house, except for the Blacks. Sirius Black ended up in Gryffindor. You know who he is, that wanted fugitive?
"Yeah."
Imprisoned for years. The joy sucked out of him every waking moment. Then a life on the run from the law, living in fear from Aurors and Death Eaters.
"Yes, I recall."
Until he was killed last year, painfully and horribly. Can't imagine what torture he must have gone through.
"Yes! I remember him."
"Well, as I was saying, he was in Gryffindor, and his brother Regulus Black, old R.A.B. we used to call him, was in Slytherin. Shame. I would have liked to have pressed them both into magical collector cards and kept them in my album."
Slugwell Butterchub said, stroking the spine of an album labeled magic cards on the mantel from which Harry could almost swear he could hear faint cries of help.
Only 2 more holly-head harpies until I have the complete set. You know, your mother was one of my favorite students. Brilliant young witch. Surprising considering that she was Muggle-born.
What does that have to do with it?
Now, don't think I'm prejudiced. I just meant that despite her parentage, she became a very good wizard.
I'm sorry?
I liked your mother, and one can't be prejudiced if they have a friend from that group, now can they? It's not like she was a dirty Frencher or anything.
It went on like this for a while. At one point, Slugnutters even resurrected the old stereotype about black people not swimming. Anyone who's had grandparents knows that racism in the elderly is tolerated mostly because it's too tiring to fix.
Which is why they all moved to Florida.
Slugwubbles eventually finished. Dumbledore re-entered the room.
Well, I think we've intruded upon your hospitality quite long enough. Come, Harry. Let us be on our way and leave our dear Slugbug unprotected and out of contact with influential wizards.
You're leaving?
Yes, I know a doomed cause when I see one.
Doomed?
No use beating a dead horse and killing precious time.
I suppose not.
We'll just be on our merry way to our fortified castle, surrounded by powerful protective magics and auras. Ta, old friend.
Wait, I'll do it.
How delightful and unexpected. See you at start of term.
And with that, Harry and Dumbledore departed, magicifying themselves to just outside of the Burrow, the home of Harry's friends, the Weasleys. Before Harry could join his friends and their hot sister within, Dumbledore pulled him aside.
Now, Harry, if you'll join me in this secluded shed, there's something I'd like to share with you that I do not want anyone else to know about.
Again, not/fiction. And so ends Chapter 4. All characters and source material are copyright 2005 J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter characters, names, and related indicia are trademarks of and copyright Warner Brothers.